So this is an updated build of Naduless Nadu, an old combo deck that we played a lot of like a year ago, maybe 2 years ago at this point. I guess a year ago. The idea is that you are comboing off by putting a lot of copies of Risen Reef into play, and then you are looping the lands in your deck with Titania. So the idea is that you get your Titania plus your Risen Reef plus your Safekeeper, and then you go sack a land, make it elemental, trigger Risen Reef, put other lands in play, and this allows you to make tokens that and draw cards. And what you could do is you could Chord of Calling for a Nissa or a Lotus Cobra during the loop to start actually making mana. Or you could just Chord of Calling for Craterhoof Behemoth. But if you draw the Craterhoof Behemoth first, you Chord of Calling for a Lotus Cobra effect, and then you just cast it. So I think this is actually a pretty good shell to play two new cards from the set. So we have both Through the Omen Paths, which is an 8-mana Convoke enchantment. This is already a shell that's really good at convoking with Wall of Roots and Springheart Nantuko at the beginning of combat on your turn, which is a pretty relevant time to do it with Craterhoof in your deck. You look at the top 5 cards of the library, put a creature into play. And then I also think Sandman is just generally good with the Risen Reef Nissa shell. It's a 3-mana creature, power toughness equal to the number of lands you control, can't be blocked by creatures power 2 or less, and for 5 mana you could return this and a land from the graveyard tapped. And so it's very, very resilient, very grindy. I think it's an interesting angle of attack, and I think it's just a good one of if you're playing Nissa Risen Reef in general. For me, it's just kind of part of like this package of cards now, and I think this is a great shell to be testing both at once. I like when Spike keeps saying 2 years and then Games Last Summer, Time is a Circle. Well, yeah, I corrected myself. It feels like 2 years though. Well, I only got 1 land and 2 through the Omen Pass. We're playing 3 in the deck. Let's mulligan. Very tough to keep a hand like this on the draw. My opponent's on a 5-card hand. Let's actually join them. So this is an interesting one. It would be great on like 6, but this is on 5. Could put back the Grazer since we're on a 5-card hand. I could put back Grazer Nissa. I could also, yeah, I think I just put back Grazer Nissa. Have you seen the Cascade Birthing Ritual deck? No. I built it, I think. I mean, there's a few different versions, but if you're talking about the Bloodbraid Elf build, that was our deck. I think I heard that like LSV played like a Bant version for a video or something. Well, I haven't seen that 75. So probably Living End? Could be a Neoform variant. Oh, I guess also the Birthing Ritual deck. Two very different Simic builds. Would have been nice maybe to go with the Grazer, but a different timeline. To be sure. I guess now we'll play the Wall of Roots. I'm going to get a basic forest so that if they have a Harbinger, we're a little less cold to it. It was Oculus Ice Fang Coiling Oracle. Oh, so just like completely different. Just this deck. Which was also a deck that we built like a year ago. Although it's pretty different these days. They reveal another Ice Fang, so they've got that. They got 2 other cards here. I guess let's go ahead and bestow onto the Wall of Roots. See if this resolves. So I can get, so a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so a little bit short of casting the Chord of Calling this turn. Have I considered Black Bellmurk? I think playing a 5th color dedicated seems like a huge problem. I have thought about it, but I just think it's a big problem. They bounce the Wall of Roots token with a Brazen Borrower. Why don't we go ahead and cast a Risen Reef before we do anything else? There's another copy of Springheart Nantuko, which I really want to bestow onto the Risen Reef this turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6. I think what we do this turn is we just chord for another Risen Reef. See if their one mystery card is a Force or a Flare. And then Nantuko on Risen Reef starts to go pretty hard. There's our Sylvan Safekeeper. Then there's a Nissa, both pretty good. A Grazer would be kind of nice so that we just don't die very quickly. This is going to be 7 plus 2, 9. I'm down to 8, which means as long as I have blockers for the ground creatures and they don't manifest or put another Oculus into play, we're okay. They hit a flip and draw 2. We also might combo off this turn. Their hand is Ice Fang, 3 mystery cards, Lotus Cobra. Okay, so let's start off by bestowing a Nantuko onto the Risen Reef and just seeing if that resolves. It gets Force of Negation. They pitch Sink. So the last card is an Ice Fang. Really? Wait, why would they pitch Sink instead of Ice Fang? Maybe I'm misremembering something. I thought they revealed an Ice Fang to a Coiling Oracle, though. All right, definitely some outs to win next turn, but gonna be kind of tough against all this interaction. Oh, sorry, I forgot the Borrower. The furtive Brazen Borrower is so easily forgotten. Right, game 2 on the play. It does feel like these big enchantments are quite tough against the all counter magic deck. The Veil of Summer should help a good bit. I do think we can try to mostly ignore their creature plan and go over the top. Let me cut the Flare against all these counter spells. I'm going to keep the Sandman in to see how it plays. I'll trim 1 through the Omen Paths from the Wall of Roots. Think Wizards Realm would do anything to support the pre-modern format? I don't know. I don't know much about the pre-modern format other than like the people who like it really, really like it, and it doesn't seem to be all that popular relatively to other formats. Another mulligan. All right, we'll keep back the Arbor. Surveil turn 1. I personally don't have a lot of interest in pre-modern. Just don't have really nostalgia for the cards from that era because I didn't play. Yeah, it does seem like a weird one for them to try to support because they can't print new cards into it. Alright, I guess we're going to trade this for a... Oh. Sorry, I should have played Island because next turn I couldn't have Veil up. I guess I could have Veil up. Because I just wouldn't want to care about landfall if I cared about having Veil. They this turn reveal an Ice Fang. That's an interesting draw. Is Nantuko on Dryad Arbor and 2 Lotus Cobra Infinite? Yes. You select the agent to get a subtlety here. So we're going to use the Wall of Roots because we've got the Chord of Calling. Another subtlety would be bad because we can't Veil of Summer it, obviously. Nice. So I haven't played a land yet this turn, so I think we want to draw that where we get to also trigger the Wall of Roots. So I can't get Nissa plus the fetch land. So I think while we have the Veil of Summer active, let's just go ahead and board for another copy of Risen Reef. And I think we can play... Oh, can I get Nissa? This is 5, 6, 7. Looks like I'm one short of Nissa because I've already used both of these. But not Nissa, it's Titania. The Wall of Roots is free to play with the Chord of Calling. Don't see much reason to put a counter on it here, though. Another Chord of Calling is great. And then put that into play, make another plant, and pass the turn. They hit a Flibble Flip, they trigger the Birthing Ritual. They get an Oculus if they're going to sack that fast. So I don't think that they have another Flare in their hand, although I guess we get to bait with the Nantuko. They should definitely counter this if they have something. Oh, they've got a Dismember. So I guess let's go ahead and Chord of Calling in response. I'm going to go for the Titania. There's a Nissa. There's another Nissa. That's a kind of a funny 2 cards to hit. Don't think I'm going to be making copies of Wall of Roots here. Why not Safekeeper with Hexproof? Watch this. Well, the biggest reason is that I didn't have a land. I didn't have a land in hand to actually make a copy of this Risen Reef, right? So I need to get some value instead. Well, I guess I can't do too much else after this. Maybe I should have put a fetch land in my hand so I could have kept going. That was probably a mistake. But yeah, I just didn't have, I couldn't do anything if I took your line. Which is a problem. Alright, so fetch land on top is pretty crazy. Your turn. We go to 1 if they have a Oculus, which is notably not 0. Also, of course, we have like super lethal on the crackback, as is, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, also giving Shroud to the Reef is awkward if we did have the land, because then we can't bestow anyways. I want to see 1 league with Scoot Storm is too much to ask. I actually tested Swarm off stream and it was really bad a long time ago, but I did test it. Okay, so we're drawing a fetch land, which this fetch land and that fetch land they're going to make elementals at the very least for Titania, even if we brick on the Nissa reveal. Although we can't, brick is just finding another Nissa, I guess. Trigger this, trigger the Reef, draw a Grazer. It's kind of a brick, or at least it blocks a flyer. Welcome, go away FX. Wait, did I make a Wall of Roots? I didn't mean to make a Wall of Roots. Okay, we do brick. So we get 1 more draw here. We lose this game. Okay, another Grazer is kind of funny. Because now we can block both Oculi. I think we have lethal, though. It is kind of tough to have brick on all those draws. Oh, we don't have lethal, do we? Dang, we really lost this one? Okay, I mean, we only lost if they have a 3rd Grazer under the Manifest, or if they have a Dismember or another removal spell. Not over yet, but dang. How good? Yeah, Grazer is so good. Okay, they don't have an Oculus, so they're looking for a Dismember, and they found it. No! Why? Why me, dude? Frustrating. Maybe you could. Maybe Craterhoof would just be the best thing to be in on. Okay, so this is turn 3 Nissa plus trigger Nissa, which is usually a keep. Graveyard the 3rd Wall of Roots. A drum and a Kappa Cannoneer. Or 2 drums and a Kappa Cannoneer. I guess if they target the Kappa Cannoneer, we evoke Endurance. Maybe I should evoke Endurance anyways. Evoking the Endurance is a little bit weird because sometimes it's important to have in your deck for the combo. Let's do it. So they're representing Rebuke. We can only chord for 2 next turn, so I think that playing the Nissa is just going to be better. Just trade it for the Rebuke, and then if they don't have it, they don't have it, and it seems like they don't, which is good news. No Metalcraft for Galvanic Blast if they're playing Blast. We'll make a blue in case we find a Reef. We do find the Sandman. We'll just cast the Sandman here. I thought about saving it for a Risen Reef trigger. But next turn, if we're like getting Risen Reef, we can make this potentially really big. Especially if we either draw a fetch land or on this Risen Reef trigger, we find a land so we get another Nissa into another Reef. Cranial Plating. To give +3/+3. We could block and then just return the Sandman this next turn. Okay, they don't even attack. They probably should have attacked, right? Are they going to print the Moto versions in paper? I don't think so. The whole thing's such a disaster. So we could... Is it better to play this fetch land? Or to just put it into play? I guess it's better to put into play for the Sandman. And then we can still cast another Reef if we hit one off this Nissa. Which we do. Although we're not holding up Boseiju anymore. Now the Sandman is a 6/6. There's a Lotus Cobra. I kind of need to save the Boseiju to have 2 land drops next turn, so I guess I'm not attacking. I'm not Boseijuing, sorry. Am I gonna attack with the Sandman? It's actually just kind of good for me if it dies, because I get to bring back a land. But I can also maybe I can maybe just kill them next turn with it. Let's get in. They can block with the Midnight. Okay, just a Kappa Cannoneer. I really want to get this to 12 power this turn. Not the most, like it's possible. I have to find something good off the Nissa now. I could also just Boseiju the Kappa Cannoneer, but I think I'm not gonna. Technically get a little bit of selection, so like if we see a Nissa on top, we can surveil it to the yard. Yes! Rewarded. So only 1 Nissa left in the deck. Titania is the big hit, I guess. Oh no, we hit the other Nissa. Because of course we did. So Sandman is lethal next turn. don't know how I feel about the art on this one. I think it's good. Dead to Sandman. Well, they could have blocked. Missed the first day of dudes. Anything to send out. We trophied with the Parker luck deck. I do think the camera's been good, but it's been weird to deck build with. It might just be one of those cards that ends up being like a card that you like and think is strong, but doesn't actually improve your win percentages that much. We'll see. I think I'll trim some of this. Okay. So camera was good. Carnage was good. I want to play some more Carnage decks. Eddie was okay in the Rakdos deck. We 3-2'd with that. We 3-2'd with the Carnage deck. I am interested in building a more kind of in version of those decks too. Keep this. That's funny, Sweeney. Dreadhorde, yeah, pet deck Carnage? Pet deck Carnage? What about my pet decks, like? Yeah, we haven't played the Hollowvine build yet. We might still play that today. Sure. Isn't Through the Omen Pass better in some Elves shell? I don't know. I'll say this comment isn't very helpful, right? Like, I mean, so the problem with elves as an archetype is getting your elves to live. If your elves live, you're winning. If they're not winning, you're losing. Through the Omen Pass is the kind of card that is only good if your elves are winning. So I would not think that Through the Omen Pass is good in elves. You know, this is a Springheart Nantuko Wall of Roots deck, which are two cards you don't really feel like you have the luxury of playing in elves. At least I don't think you do. So, you know, it's possible you could build an elves deck, but to me, it's not that interesting, I guess. So hopefully we don't die by turn 4. It's definitely possible. This helps some. So maybe next turn I could like Chord for Lotus Cobra, crack the fetch, play the Risen Reef. With the 64 months, welcome back. They're playing a Mishra's Bauble this turn, so maybe a Kappa Cannoneer after this. It's really fun to try to win this game this next turn. It seems pretty unlikely. Another Chord of Calling. So yeah, I can get Lotus Cobra, but I don't have a land to play. I don't have a land to play to cast the Reef after that. So I think we're probably just going to go for a more normal line of like get Sylvan Safekeeper and then untap, get Titania. Although this is kind of interesting. I guess let's put this in our hand. And this has to go to play. So I could Chord for Collector Ouphe. Do we feel that that's particularly meaningful? Maybe it means I won't die to a Cranioplating. Oh, sorry. I ended up getting the Safekeeper anyways. I don't know. My brain did the opposite. That's fine. We should have the win next turn, and if they somehow kill me with Cranial Plating, it'll be pretty tough for them to do that. Oh wait, maybe it's not that tough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, if they're just playing another Kappa Cannoneer, we're thrilled. They might not understand that we're trying to like deterministic combo them. I don't think I would be tough to commit planning as always a dubious sentence. That is a good point. They've got 3 cards in their hand. One of them's an Ornithopter. They have an Emissary and Warp. Alright, it should be good. This might be a treat for some of y'all who have never seen this combo before. I'm sure somebody in the chat at least is like, wait, how on earth do you win from this board? So what you do is you get a Titania. You just start putting lands into play. And then you can start sacrificing lands either to the fetch land or just to the Safekeeper, obviously, to continue to loop the stuff into play. And so we've drawn our Craterhoof Behemoth, which means that we're going to need to Chord of Calling for a Lotus Cobra or a Nissa so that we can make mana. But typically you want to be tapping the elementals instead of the actual lands. Should like technically be faster too, so. And so this is why we call the deck Naduless Nadu, because it's playing in a very similar loop to Nadu. We do have to get to a point where the Craterhoof by itself is going to be lethal, which shouldn't be difficult, but it should take a little bit of time. And then we have an endurance in the deck, so we can shuffle our lands back in if we, or when we need to, rather. You don't really need to save the targets because you get a new creature to target with the Safekeeper every time you sack a land, but sometimes I like to just put a bunch of triggers on the stack. And then you could also, like, you know, Springheart Nantuko, Lotus Cobra to get extra triggers or get more Risen Reefs in play for more triggers. Seems faster to Green Sun for Cobra. Well, we didn't have enough mana to do that. And what's really important about the Chord of Callings is you get to use it off of the new creatures you're creating, so you don't actually need to have mana for your spells, which tends to be a good formula, not needing mana for your spells. It was probably better to bestow onto the Cobra there, actually. Kind of minor. Not sure where the endurance is. I didn't board out the endurance, did I? No, I did board out the endurance. I don't know why I did that. Still probably is okay. Let's go ahead and bestow onto the Cobra. We just need to have 4 lands left in our deck, and we should be fine. I think we do. Well, I guess it would be fine too, because then we still need the same number of lands. Are there any weird loops with Safekeeper Sandman? Well, you can't sack the Sandman 2 Safekeeper, right? You need a lot of Lotus Cobra effects in play for it to matter. Bestow on Craterhoof is going to be unnecessary this game, but I guess if your opponent's board was big enough, you could. We got 13 cards left. Just need to hit 2 more lands. There's one of them. This was such a fun deck to work on when we first were putting it together. I know the new card. I mean, we did kill them with Sandman last game, but then we haven't drawn the web yet. Okay, I'm gonna cast a Craterhoof Behemoth. It's gonna get Like plus 20, plus 20. Wait, is that actually not enough? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So 29 power, trample haste, minus 11. 29 minus 11 is 18. There are 14. Who was I putting it together with? The stream. Where is the Craterhoof? Reset attacking creatures. Attack with all. It should be somewhere. Literally, am I attacking with the Craterhoof? There it is. I don't think I... Is this interface new? I don't think I've ever had to tab over like this. Yeah, you could loop with Endurance to go actually infinite, but I boarded out the Endurance because we have the more artifact focused, like the more controlling game plan with the artifact hate, but that might have just been a mistake. I really want to have a draw with the Convoke card. I think we have not drawn that. I think we maybe drew it and like put it back on a mulligan, which you do with your Convoke cards pretty often. Magic Dan is in the tank. Leads on blue-black Surveillant and then suspends a Lotus Bloom. So this matchup gets a lot better post-board where you can really aggressively get your Collector Ouphe and then protect it with your Sylvan Safekeeper. I think you also get to board in Consigns. Game 1 is usually pretty bad. We maybe could combo off, though. 2 Shoals are kind of scary. It's not infinite. You can only loop as many times as you have green cards. No, it is infinite because you eventually can bestow Endurance with a Springheart Nantuko. They chose a Seagate instead of the Disrupting Shoal. I remember there's actually a time when we were playing this deck and Titan and Belcher were really popular, and we were just main decking a Collector Ouphe and main decking a Harbinger. So we have a pretty clear like turn 4 kill where we can just cast a Titania, then Chord for a Safekeeper, and then just attack for like 25, 30. But we are on the draw. It also seems like they've got a Flare and they just didn't want to use it there. I don't usually see this one. The Endurance is interesting. Makes me resilient to a Tamashii. Have I tried Wall of Roots? Yeah, we have 4 of those in the deck. If this was a Risen Reef, we could have won this turn, maybe. Yeah, I guess I just hold up Hardcast Endurance / Chord for Safekeeper instead of trying to... I was thinking I could try to desperately Chord for Risen Reef, and if I draw Safekeeper, I could win this turn, but that seems worse than just maybe they're on Tamashii and Endurance gets them. Yeah, I think that the Wall of Roots in this build make a lot of sense because we're playing all the Convoke cards. And we're less in on Flare because the same reason we're in on the Convoke cards. All right, they've got the Belcher. Sylvan Safekeeper doesn't give me Shroud. The build looks like maybe a little not stock. So I want to see if there's anything else over here in the hands of Magic Dan. No, pretty stock. Okay, so we're down a game. This matchup has historically been really good post-board, though. We're just like literally the single Collector Ouphe. You have so many tutors for it, and Safekeeper plus Ouphe is like unbeatable. And Veil is good against them. I forgot about the Veils. So I am gonna keep the Endurance in because it's good against Tamashii. Although sometimes if I board into a more controlling plan, it's cuttable. You can cut the Craterhoof because you don't need it to win. You just set up into a spot where they can't win, and so you don't need the Craterhoof. I'm gonna cut the flare. I'm gonna make 6 more cuts. I'm gonna keep the Titania, and I think we can trim down to like 1 Nissa. Probably keep the. Oh, I guess the Cobra's gonna be worse because if we're gonna be green setting for 2, we're gonna get the Ouphe. Trim it. One of the Omen Pass. I guess Sandman's awful in this matchup. Is room for Ouphe main deck? We have played Ouphe in the main before. I mean, you can go to older builds too. Like, I mean, today the goal is to test the new cards still. In the tank on the sideboard. On the play for game 2. Let's not say no to this hand. It is very interaction heavy and land light, but very hard to mulligan. Chord for Ouphe, Veil of Summer, double consign. They played Orderly Plaza tapped. Graveyard second Chord of Calling pretty easily. Play the Dryad Arbor. I think with double consign in my hand, if they play one of the 2-mana creatures, I'll probably just consign the ETB. They suspended Lotus Bloom on turn 2. Is Wildfire or Blood Magus of the Moon better land hate cards? I mean, I think Wildfire is like Blood Moon and Magus are like only good against Titan. Really, they're not good against almost any other deck. There's a couple that they're okay against, but as far as like really effective sideboard hate and you're like boarding in Blood Moon, it's mostly just Titan. I guess like some of like the Blink builds you could get them, but mostly it's just Titan. And then Wildfire is still pretty good against Titan, while also being great against Belcher and great against Tron. And I mean, Blood Moon's good against Tron, but it's not good against Eldrazi. But Wildfire is good against Eldrazi. All right, that's the breakdown. They pitch a Tamashi to the Disrupting Shoal, and then they tick down the Bloom. 2 counters on the Bloom. Then they play an Archaeologist. They mill over Flusterstorm, Whir, Seagate. Is Harbinger better than Magus in blue decks? But other than that, not really notably. They play this tap despite picking up the Flusterstorm. I guess they don't think that there's anything I could tap out for that's blue, but they're wrong about that. Or not blue, that's Flusterstormable. Yeah, I liked playing Cleansing Wildfire in the main deck recently too. This Flare of Denial is pretty scary. That is what they grab. And then they miss their land, so their hand is Flusterstorm, Flare, 3 mystery cards that are all spells. Only 1 blue source is really tough here. Yeah, I think I just do this. I could just pay for Flusterstorm. And then they flare back. And if we Veil, then their Flusterstorm is very online. So maybe we get to play Endurance with Veil up. They have to draw the untapped land to Belcher me too, so it's like mostly Tamashi. I guess the problem is their Flusterstorm just always beats the Veil. And then I don't know, the Flusterstorm plus Flare is going to be so tough. They do tap for white, so they do have it. It is really awkward if we end up pitching the Veil. I guess I started pitching the Chord of Calling, but I guess why do we need this Veil of Summer if they have the Flusterstorm? I guess to back up the consign next turn. Does seem like a pretty good reason to me. Yeah, sure. We could consign the Storm trigger too. I don't know, pretty tough. They've used the Flare. We know they have a Flusterstorm. And they have another Flare. And I can't Chord for Ouphe. And if I could, they could Flusterstorm it. So we might be dead. Was hardcast endurance a consideration? You know what? I guess that was just the better line. I don't know why I didn't even think about it, but I don't know. I don't really think there was a good way to maneuver around the wind plus Flusterstorm plus Flare this game. Well, yeah, we should have hardcast it. Yeah, I do get Jawari Disruption. That's a problem. But it's really unlikely they have that in their hand. That's not what they picked up with the Tamashi, was it? They would have had to draw off return because they missed their land last turn. Could they have pitched Chord and kept a Veil? The problem with pitching Chord keeping a Veil is we know they have Flusterstorm in their hand, which just counters the Veil. Okay, so they don't have it. Now they have it. Okay, I think I'm going to save the Vengevine deck for tomorrow. Beyond that, is there... What else have we not gotten to? We didn't cast the Through the Open Path, so maybe we'll play a different deck with it. Although I didn't exactly love it. Although we almost never drew it. We do have more Carnaging to do, I think. We have more Cammering to do. Probably focus on that.